talk about TED AI because it was so
Sure.
cool seeing you close that out. Let's talk about what your speech was about in closing that out and what was the main message you were trying to convey. I said in my opener, it was all about community.
I heard gasps in the audience when CEOs see that slide. I understand the gravity of what that means. Communities form cultures. Strong communities have cultures. And there's, in particular, the cultures that have emerged here in San Francisco is there's an AI-first culture, which is being adopted by the giant tech companies that are not AI leaders. And there's thousands of startups here in San Francisco that were born in the last few years, AI natives from San Francisco. It's derived from a leaderboard that exists. They're young companies, fewer than 50 employees, and their revenue per employee is 2.2 million, so 10x. CrewAI, the company was incorporated in 2024, and it's already been adopted by 60% of the Fortune 500. It's insane growth. And here's the other thing.
Unbelievable.
They only have 35 human employees, but 350 AI agents.
I think are the most important 10 years in human history. We've always been, the way exponentials work, of course, is they really slowly hit first.
Now it's near vertical. Everybody should be trying those tools, and you should maximize LLMs. You should have a subscription to both GPT and Claude. So that's $20 to $20. It's definitely money well spent.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Love Conquers Fear. I have a very exciting episode today. As I mentioned on the last episode with Mike Maples Jr., I was just about to walk into the TED AI event. And my guest today, unbeknownst to me, because I did not look at the agenda, I wanted to be surprised going to that event, was the closing speaker of the first day and closed it out in a really amazing, beautiful way with the core message of community. So we'll be talking about that and talking about the amazing community that he's built here in San Francisco. I also, yesterday, had a really beautiful happening where Christopher Michael reached out to me. He is the photographer for the National Academy of Arts and Sciences. And he said, hey, I love what you're up to with Love Conquers Fear, and I'd like to take your photo. And he did portraits of me, which I haven't done in a long time. And so I've shared that online, and I'll probably be sharing that in a soon-to-be-announced website for the podcast, where you'll be able to find a list of all the books that have been recommended in every episode. So it'll make it very easy for you. But he turned me on to a short story that I had never read. I didn't even know it existed, called The Egg by Andy Weir. He asked me first if I was an Andy Weir fan, and I told him I'd recently finished Project Hail Mary and loved that novel, and I've covered that on this podcast. I also mentioned on the podcast, a warning alert, do not watch the trailer because it literally spoils all the best parts of the book, in my opinion. It's one of those trailers that just tells way too much, and you really want to be surprised when you watch the actual movie. There's a lot of great surprises that are really worth it. But The Egg is essentially an origin of life, the universe, and everything short story. So I really enjoyed it, would really recommend it. And I also use that opportunity to read The Last Question by Isaac Asimov, which had been recommended to me a number of times, actually with my science fiction novella, The Lattice, out. That book kept on coming up, or that short story kept on coming up. So I finally listened to it. It's a really funny one on Audible because I guess it was recorded during the days of CD-ROMs, because they keep on referencing that on the actual reading of it. And it's very highly produced, but in a kind of a cheesy way. But it was a fun, kind of throwback in the, I went in the Wayback Machine. And it's also an origin of life, the universe, and everything, and essentially where did the Big Bang come from? And I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's an interesting theory of what actually caused the Big Bang that supposedly happened 13.8 billion years ago, but we're finding out is actually older than that with the James Webb Telescope. So who actually knows? We're talking about times that we can't even imagine. And I mentioned to you on my first episode, The Order of Time by Carlo Rovelli is a fantastic book about how time itself is an illusion anyways. So that's kind of a fun read. It's just a pure science book, but it ends with a very mystical ending even though he's not trying to be mystical at all. He's just trying to be scientific on his theory of why time is an illusion. So who knows, right? Have we been here many times before? Is this the first instantation of this universe? Do we live in parallel universes? There's just so many questions we don't know, which frankly, I think the acceleration with AI, quantum computing, robotics, and brain-computer interfaces are going to take us more and more into whatever the nature of this reality is. But let's just be thankful that it's rooted in love as the highest order principle. And I've seen that whether I've read books on quantum physics or AI or consciousness or spirituality, that seems to be the reality that we're in. And anybody that's ever done, a silent retreat or a psychedelic journey or a deep meditation, they see the unity of all things, and they see that we're rooted in love, which is beautiful. So today, I'm very excited to say that my guest is Jeremiah Owyang. Jeremiah has been a longtime friend. I've actually known him since 2005. Can't believe that, but yeah, welcome, buddy. Yeah,
Brett.
What an honor to be here with you. Yeah,
what an amazing journey, and I'm so grateful that our friendship is still intact. And this is going to be a great conversation. Let's go.
It really is. Yeah. I'm just very honored to know you, and you're someone who I just want to say, out of all the industry analysts, I know now you're a venture capitalist, and we'll talk about that. You were always able to see the future clearly, and that's really, really unusual. And somehow the way that we both saw the future lined up, we lined up with different bookmarks in our career, which I always thought was a very cool synchronicity between us.
Thank you. Well, to put a little bit of scope on, I can see the future like a tech market business, but I can't, I don't know what I'm having for dinner tonight yet, Brett.
Yeah.
So there's some definite limitations, and, don't bet on me on Vegas. That will probably go bad. So it's just really great to be here and in the heart of San Francisco too.
Yeah. I love being here. This is, we're in the Mission right now recording this, and when Deborah and I moved here at the beginning of 2000 for Core Metrics, because all of our customers were here, we were selling to .coms like crazy, and we had at one point 100 .com customers. That went down to 3 as the .com bubble burst.
Yeah, I've been
so I was here in the height of the boom, the depths of despair, the slow rebuild, where eventually Facebook landed a $10 million investment in them by Excel. And that was for $100 million valuation. And people were like, the good times are back, baby. Right? We're so far beyond those now.
Yeah.
But this, I always feel this is kind of where my roots were. And I want to talk about TED AI, because it was so cool seeing you close that out. Let's talk about what your speech was about in closing that out. And, what was the main message you were trying to convey? I said in my opener, it was all about community.
Yes, 100% about community. That was a life moment to do that, and a lot of prep went into it, and thinking and working with the team and the coaches. But just to back up, in 2023, I could see GenAI was about to pop off. There was a bunch of indicators, and I've seen this before. And because I've been here since .com, I can see these little flares in the sky. And when you learn how to read these little signals, then you can tell what's going to pop.
Yep.
And so I've done that four times in my career.
Yeah. And I know that you're rooted in humility, but I want to emphasize again,
Oh, thanks.
I think you've seen the future clearly multiple times. So.
Thanks. And so I do what my natural instinct is, Brett. It's to build community, and to write about it, and to share and include people. So I started an event series in April 2023 called Llama Lounge. I wanted a name that would stand out. Most events were called AGI this, AI that, ML this. And so fast forward, there's been 20 Llama Lounge events.
Why Llama?
Llama? Oh, so Llama is an acronym, large language model. LLM. And so the industries just said, well, let's just call this spiritual creature, mythical creature instead of unicorns, llama. So llama's been adopted. There's obviously there's llama model, there's llama index,
Meta
there's
has llama. Yep.
yeah, there's many companies called llama, and so it's just kind of known. It's kind of an icon
Okay.
that's just emerged, and so I went with Llama Lounge,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we're hanging out, and it's become a pitch event, and it's it's an ecosystem. We have founders who come and they pitch to their peers, investors. Typically, we have 50 to 75 VCs in the room, and then we have corporate buyers as well. So it's a full ecosystem,
All right.
and the 300 to 400 people per event, and we usually have to turn hundreds away, and
Oh, wow.
we have to have uniform security guards now, at least 3 guards at each event, and I think it's a thing. And there's a significant amount of capital in the room, and decisions are made, and everybody's title is a leadership title now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of grown. And what happened was the organizers of TED AI, before they announced they're going to do a conference, they came to SF and they were checking out like what's going on out here.
Right.
And they came to Llama Lounge. And so they were just kind of tracking me. And so in the first year of TED AI, I was a panelist. Second year, I was a panelist. And then third year, I was offered this slot
Yeah.
to bring home the conference, which was very tech heavy. But they wanted me to close on, the theme was San Francisco is the epicenter of AI because, and they wanted me to fill in the gap with a nod towards its community.
Right.
So it was a 3-step message that I gave. So community was key, and I showed data from Cerebral Valley that there's been over 4,700 in-person events, and it's only climbing up.
Yeah. That was stunning.
Stunning, yeah.
I
So
saw that.
this month, right now, we're in fall 2025. There's 300 events, in-person events. So it's 10 per day that we know of,
Wow.
and there's many more that we just don't know of. So the community is incredibly. I've never seen this. I've been here. I was here at .com and Web2.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen this.
Yeah.
And then the second part of my message was the community's great and all, but it's resulted in some new cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Communities form cultures. Strong communities have cultures. Like I've seen your culture at Bazaar Voice.
Mm-hmm.
You built a beautiful culture.
Thank you. We did.
See, that's the right
all of
answer.
it.
See, that's the
us
right
did
answer.
it.
Yeah, you did. I remember you toured me through your office. I remember that event. And you showed me how you would celebrate wins. We had this giant gong, and you're one of the first companies to do that, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you built a culture.
That was my co-founder Brant Barden, to give credit where credit's due. He had this great idea where he bought it actually from Wuhan, and it's a huge,
It was massive.
huge gong, and we would stop everything when we got a client win, including being on meetings with customers, and literally people would be like, "Hey, I really apologize. I need to step out. Like we just had, the summoning." And they would go, and it would just take like 5 minutes, and then boom, be back. And more often than not, customers would ask us, they would say like, "Oh my gosh, like I wish we had that kind of culture." And then we eventually sent mini gongs to customers.
Nice.
To allow them to gong like big milestones, like when they went live, when they graduated to a certain adoption threshold, like for their customers writing reviews, like all types of things. It's really fun.
I mean, even your product, Bazaar Voice, was community on the website, right? You brought human connection and reviews of customers on a corporate website that used to be run just by marketing.
That's right.
Right. So community is threaded throughout what you have done, and then I've observed you. So yeah. All right.
Cool.
So community creates cultures, right? That's kind of like the second point I was talking about at TED AI. And there's, in particular, the cultures that have emerged here in San Francisco is there's an AI first culture, which is being adopted by the giant tech companies that are not AI leaders. So Mark Benioff talks about AI first. Aaron Levy from Box talks a lot about AI first. And some of these companies are doing layoffs to trim down their company, and they're adopting Gen AI because they have to catch up or they will perish. Then there's the highest order is called the AI natives. And there's thousands of startups here in San Francisco that were born in the last few years, and it's innate into who they are to be an AI native. Now, both of these organizations, companies, cultures have the same method, and that's called the AI first method. And then I described on stage, it's a 3-step process.
All right.
So if you have a goal or a problem, first you see, is there an existing AI off the shelf that you can just grab and use? If it doesn't exist, step 2, is then you build it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the past, you would need to be technical to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But now with AI, if you're not technical, you can vibe code it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a pretty significant change in the amount of empowerment. And then the third step is if you still can't get it done, then you hire somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And you repeat this process over and over until your organization is lean and productive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the final slide that I showed was, how do you measure lean and productive? And I compared, this is my industry analysis background. I'm former Forrester and then Altimeter Group. So I tracked the industry.
Which you co-founded Altimeter, right?
I was a founding partner. Charlene Lee was the founder and has been a wonderful friend.
She's also awesome.
She's amazing.
Yep.
So I compared a traditional SaaS company revenue per employee is around 200K RPE, revenue per employee on an annual basis. By the way, agencies, marketing agencies around the same.
Mm-hmm.
So low margin businesses when you look at it. And then I showed the second bar chart out of 3, which is the top 10 SaaS companies, Adobe, Atlassian, Salesforce, Shopify. They were around 540K revenue per employee per year.
Right.
And then I showed the final bar chart, which was 23 AI natives from San Francisco that's derived from a leaderboard that exists.
Mm-hmm.
They're young companies, fewer than 50 employees.
Right.
And their revenue per employee is 2.2 million.
Yeah.
So 10x.
That was the photo I took and I sent to you of
good.
that slide with
Thank
you
you.
presenting it, because that absolutely blew me away.
I heard gasps in the audience. I heard people.
There were gasps in the audience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And well, there's a lot of ramifications that will come out of that.
Right.
Like that slide I showed.
Yeah.
When CEOs see that slide, like I understand the gravity of like what that means.
Mm-hmm.
It's significant.
Yeah.
But then I brought it back, to at the end, my metaphor throughout was the redwood forest, which is a connected ecosystem, and it's only found here in this region. So, I'm tying that together. And those trees only got bold because they have rich soil and saplings and animals and the coastal breeze. Like they are not able to grow anywhere else.
All right.
And speaking of time in your opening here, those redwood forests have been here for 200 million years.
Yeah, it's amazing.
They're Jurassic era.
When we lived here, that was one of our favorite things to do.
Oh,
to walk among them. I mean, the oxygen you get,
huge,
incredible.
And the microbiomes and then fungus everywhere. It's like, yes, it's healing in its many ways. So I painted the picture that the only way that we can build systems that can benefit humanity is if we have an ecosystem. So everybody in the room and beyond plays a key role in that. And so that was how I brought that back to the end.
Yeah, I loved it. And you delivered it perfectly. And
thanks.
One of the things you were telling me is how much prep went into it. You want to share that?
Yep. I think I did around 100 rehearsals.
Wow.
In 6 minutes, including dozens of recordings and checking. And Ted assigns a speaker coach. I met with her 3 times in dry rehearsals. And I tested in front of my friend who's a speaker coach, Laura Fitton, and I sourced information from lots of places. I did primary research to get that data and sourced it, and I had to show data. TED team does fact checking.
Right.
And so I had to show all my receipts on that.
Yeah.
I had to get legal approvals from the people I was using the data from. Like there's a whole process. There's only like 7 slides, but I spent a lot of time to make sure it was right. And like even my body language and like the timing and the slide clicks and the narrative, like that was all very much pre-planned, and we had to work on that.
Right.
And it was a lot of pressure as the closing speaker to do it right.
Yeah. And speaking of data, I mean, I wouldn't be doing my job as
you're
former
good.
CEO of Data.world if I didn't ask this. What resource? There's the Lean Startup website, right, that you recommend.
Yes. So Henry Shih here in San Francisco put that together. He's a serial founder. So it's called the Lean AI Native Leaderboard. And I went through the data, cleaned it a bit. I felt there was some anomalies in the data. And then I segmented it for San Francisco. And then the first data source on the number of events that are known, that's from the Cerebral Valley website, when they've been a leader in the space since GenAI started to kick off. So I also had some other content, but the TED editorial team cut it.
Yeah. I'll put that in the show notes. We'll put a
great.
link so that anybody can check that out. It's
Thanks.
a very data rich site that people can dive into. And I want to disclose up front that, Deborah and I are proud LPs
Yay.
in what you're doing now. You're fun.
Thank
So
you
let's
so
talk
much.
about that.
Well, thank you.
You bet. It's an honor. I
Are you
appreciate
kidding?
you
No, I
inviting me
told
in.
so I told the our partners, I said, oh, we got to have this guy, and he's a serial founder and smart and connected. So we are glad to have you in this
Well,
partnership.
I appreciate.
So when GenAI, so I'm an LP in the Blitzscaling Ventures Fund One, and
Yeah.
Blitzscaling is based upon the book written by Chris Ye, my friend for over 20 years, like you,
Yeah.
and he wrote it, co-authored it with Reid Hoffman,
Yeah.
and they taught a Stanford class about why Silicon Valley companies scale so fast,
Yeah.
lightning fast, and that became a firm. And I was an LP in Fund One,
Mm-hmm.
and as you know me, Brett, I don't have a shortage of opinions. So on the LP call, and you should always challenge us too, on the LP call 2.5 years ago, I said, what are you guys going to do about Gen AI? Like, it's going to pop.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have enough resources. So Chris called me a few days later and said, we'd like you to come in and lead the AI fund. It's off cycle. And I was like, great, because this is perfect timing. I wanted to do that. And it just worked out great.
Wow.
And this is the key thing on friendship. So Chris and I worked together 20 years ago. He was the CEO of Ustream, and he attended my event, my community event, where I invited the, quote, A-list bloggers
Yeah.
in Menlo Park. And we assembled, and Chris saw I could do that. So he said, join the board of Ustream and help me with the go-to-market. I did.
Yeah.
And we launched the company. And
That's so cool.
And they sold it
I love
to IBM.
synchronicities like that and
trust.
and karma. It really, yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
And trust.
Yeah.
So I am a VC investing in early stage AI startups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many companies are you guys investors in at this point?
We're filling out some paperwork, so about 11 or 12 at this time. Early stage, seed, Series A, pre-seed. Some of them are growing very fast, as many as AI startups are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's talk. Can we talk about a couple of them? Like it's always hard to ask you who the standouts are, but
no, I can do that.
Can you do that?
Yeah, sure.
I would like to ask you just what are maybe let's cover 3 of the standouts in your portfolio.
CrewAI is open source enterprise agent software. And so large companies, the ones that you worked with for decades, are using that to complete tasks and to automate tasks. But it's not just like RPA, you're just repeating like if this, then that. These are agentic software. So it senses the world around it, makes decisions, and then complete things, right? And large language models can't really do that yet. So Crew is growing very fast.
How do you spell their name?
CREW.
Okay, just like that.
Yeah.
And it's just crew.ai. Okay. And the reason I wanted to say that is there may be a company or two that we mentioned that someone listening to this wants to go work for. So
yeah, and it's open source, so developers can use it as well. So there's a community around it, and that's why it's growing so fast.
Nice.
So the company was incorporated in 2024, and it's already been adopted by 60% of the Fortune 500.
Wow.
That's insane growth.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, Brett.
Unbelievable.
They only have 35 human employees.
Right.
But 350 AI agents.
Right.
So each employee has around 10 agents.
Wow.
And so speaking of culture, every week, the CEO and Rob, the COO, they ask one of the employees to talk about how they use agents to make their job more productive, including non-technical roles like sales and HR. So that's that's an AI native company. The cultures are different.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen this before.
Yeah, we haven't seen that before. And with the 35 humans that are there, how do they make sure they're bringing out the best in those people? Because humans have emotions different than an AI agent. An AI agent does not have an emotion at all.
Simulate emotions, which I think we'll talk about.
Right, we will talk about that. But I mean, how would you describe their culture from a human perspective? Well,
the CEO is really vibrant and visionary and nonstop and incredible energy. Like, wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He's really something.
Yeah.
And then the CEO, Rob, he sold a company to Meta before, and he's like very good at ops.
Yeah.
So it's like that. It's that perfect pairing you want to see.
The visionary and the operator. Yeah.
They were even covered in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago around how they're hiring forward deployed engineers. So that's a term that we used to call those sales engineers.
I know.
Yeah, sales engineers.
It is such a valuable role.
Yes.
I think the sales engineers may be the most valuable parts of the whole sales and marketing.
Tell me why. Like, I want to hear
Because-
let's tie it to this market.
Yeah, because you can, you first of all have to understand the product. It's not optional. If you're just selling it versus the sales engineer, then you can talk and kind of hyperbole and talk about what it does, but you can't go down to the level where the engineer that has to implement your product will understand exactly what you're talking about, or actually vice versa, that you would understand the questions that they're asking you. And so in my experience, a salesperson that's not armed with a sales engineer in the right meeting, meaning that you have all the stakeholders there, the business people and the technical people to make a decision. So this could go really fast and the sales cycle could be really fast because all the right people are in the room, both the people that need it for the business metrics and the people that are going to implement, maintain it, et cetera. The salesperson, if they don't have a sales engineer in there, is probably going to crash and burn, because once the technical people start poking at it, and ideally what you do as you grow a company is you take the sales engineer types and get them to be confident enough in their closing ability to become the salespeople. The ideal salesperson, in my opinion, is someone that was a sales engineer that learned how to close. And it's a funny thing that like so many sales engineers are like too, I don't know what the right word is. They're too kind of bashful or shy or humble. I don't know what the right word is, but to close. Like closing takes a technique. Like to ask someone for money is, in my opinion, something you should just be able to do if you're really passionate about what you're selling, because why are you at that company working in the first place if you can't ask someone to pay for it? But a lot of sales engineers are very hesitant to go there because they're almost like engineers at their core and a little bit reluctant to become fully sales people. It's this kind of funny psychology. And I always have to train them, look, go all in, believe in yourself. These aren't hard skills to actually learn. You just have to allow yourself to conquer your fear. This is, again, love conquers fear.
Nice.
To become the person that's able to ask for the order. And man, those people are unstoppable. And a lot of times those people in tech companies make the best CEOs long-term. They actually,
I've heard that.
A lot of them come from that background, because you're selling something pretty technical. I mean, Data.World, we were selling something amazingly technical. It like took a lot of work to sell it, because it was all the integrations into all of their data stack across, I mean, over 90 integrations, with everything you can imagine. Wow. From, Salesforce to Oracle to Databricks to Snowflake to Tableau to Looker to Domo, and on and on and on. So the sales engineers at Data.World, I was actually just with one this past weekend for the 40th birthday party for Juan Cicada. And I told him again, I said, you realize you guys were the MVPs of the company, because there's no way we could have ever gotten a deal without you guys because of how technical Data.World was. So anyways, I don't know if that's helpful to you. But
it is very helpful. And I always love learning from your experience as a leader. But I think the thing now in this AI world is that we have these forward deployed engineers, sales engineers, whatever you want to call it, that have human skills with the customer.
Yep.
And that's actually become pretty important.
Absolutely, it is.
And
it always is.
Developer relations role has become also really critical in some of these AI startups. That's community skills. And you would think that we're going to automate everything, but while companies are lean, very lean, the human relationship is still critical when in enterprise business sales, or frankly, even consumer side. So that's kind of one of the key takeaways that I'm observing in this market.
Yeah. Okay, so we covered Crew. What are two others?
Yes, another one would be Manus AI. Manus AI is Reid Hoffman's new company that he's co-founded with Dr. Sid Mukherjee.
Mm-hmm.
And Reid is looking for areas in the world that are been not fully invested in, and drug discovery is one of them, and health and medicine. So they founded Manus AI, and I don't have the right background to speak on it in a technical way, but it's to accelerate drug discovery.
Yeah.
And they have a number of projects that are testing that. So can you imagine if pharma companies could get products to market 1 year faster, 2 years faster, 3 years, 5 years?
Yeah.
How many lives would be impacted?
Yeah. Yeah, I talked about this on episode 11 with Anil. What's happened with Google DeepMind and AlphaFold to decode how proteins fold has opened up a massive opportunity for tailor medicine to solve disease. And I think that is giving us the foresight to be like, we could be looking at the end of most disease in the next 10 years because of the breakthrough. And I think what happened with AlphaFold is going to be applied to everything we can imagine. There will be an alpha something for everything, like material science breakthroughs, and there's already AlphaFold and AlphaFlow. And a lot of people don't realize that Google has been using Alpha Chip to constantly recursively design their AI chips to improve them. And that's super fascinating in and of itself. And it's interesting that Dimas Hassabis, which I really count as one of the very, very good guys in AI. All of the interviews I've seen with him, I don't personally know him, but it really seems like he operates from a very rooted place of great sincerity and great love for humanity. That he's in charge of everything AI at Google.
Amazing.
And actually is rumored to maybe become the next CEO. We'll see. We'll see if that ends up happening. That was in the news recently, which would be pretty incredible. It'd be a big statement because, the AI is the biggest opportunity Google has ever seen, but it's also the biggest disruptor to the search engine business ever. I mean, SEO is like plummeting right now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that's a very, very interesting company.
Yeah, life-changing.
Life-changing. Really could help us get to abundance.
Yes.
And that's cool. So the fund's in that one.
Yes. And we're grateful that Reid gives us access to those deals. And
I love that Reid's staying in the arena. I love that.
He's doing a lot.
Yeah,
There's multiple other things that he's doing as well, projects too, that we could talk about in the future.
He's one of my favorite fellows on LinkedIn. His content is phenomenal.
He's great.
And the Reid AI, the digital twin was really fun too.
And he does think about the humanist side quite a bit on all of this and where are we going, and, thinking about careers and where does that go, given he's the, creator of, co-founder of LinkedIn. So, and we get to have dinner with him, and I just sit there quietly at the table and I just take notes.
Yeah.
Sometimes he says things and I hear it, and then 6 months later, it literally happened.
Yeah.
Because he's so well connected to these tech and AI companies.
So cool.
So I just sit there and I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
Which is unusual.
Early in with Arthur Patterson, the co-founder of Excel.
Oh, wow.
Would say things and he was on the board of Coremetrics as well as Peter Fenton when he used to be at Excel. Peter Fenton's, of course, at Benchmark now. Has been there for a long time. But Arthur would speak so succinctly, unlike me, right? And then sometimes it'd take me like several weeks to decode it. I'd be like, oh my gosh, he's totally right. Like one time he just sent me an email during the .com bust, and all it said was, pain is instructive, Benjamin Franklin. And it took me a long time to unpack that.
What's the insight?
The insight is suffering as a teacher. It's a very spiritual insight. It's in everything from the Tao Te Ching to the Bhagavad Gita to all different types of Buddhist text. Basically, that when you are suffering, if you truly understand the nature of that suffering versus ignore it or try to pretend it doesn't exist or avoid it, if you just fully own it, there's a great book by Anthony DeMello called Awareness. It's phenomenal. He's like the George Carlin of spiritual teachers. So he's literally laughing out loud and you're laughing out loud listening to it, but it's super profound.
Even on painful topics.
Even on painful topics. And people can spend their entire life in a narrative, in a suffering narrative. Like, let's say that you were picked on as a child. I was picked on a lot as a child, really, really pretty vehemently. Like, because I've been programming since I was 7 years old, growing up in Texas. And a lot of people just thought that was super weird at the time. But I was very fortunate to be in Austin because Austin already had some of those roots because of UT buying the Cray supercomputers and researchers moving there and eventually starting companies. So my mom was able to drop me off at programming user group meetings at age 10.
Wow.
But getting back to, and you know, those actually existed in Austin. That was really unusual. There weren't many cities. I mean, San Francisco, Seattle, Boston, there were very few that would actually have that at that point in time, you know, back in when I was 10. But basically, you know, what Anthony Mello teaches is that if you completely, totally understand the root of suffering on anything, like being wronged as a child, whatever it is, then you let it go. But you have to completely understand it. Because once you completely understand it, you can realize that you actually, it's like a program, that you're running a program over and over in your head. And this happens to some people, like when they have something horrific happen, like they get a divorce, they could run that program in their head for the rest of their life and never trust as a result of that program. They could literally be 80 years old and just running that same program because they haven't completely embraced the nature of the suffering and released. And release is a very powerful thing.
It's very wise. I was in .com and there was Payne was an instructor, but I observed people around me who messed up, and I learned a lot about business models, and I learned about people who exercise stock but didn't correctly cash out, and like I saw things, and was translated into understanding business models later.
Yeah.
So I watched that pain,
Yes.
which is financial, not as deep as divorce or childhood trauma.
Right.
But like, yes, you have.
It is painful though, because when you found
Lives
the
are ruined.
company, lives are ruined, and when you, well,
At least temporarily.
temporarily, definitely caveat it with that. I mean, you know, when you start a company, as you know, you're now really a part of this Blitzscaling fund as a GP, so you really own it, you know, and you own this AI fund. When things don't go well, it's hard not to take it personally because you're kind of there at its birth, and therefore you're almost like a parent. You know, you're breathing the soul into this new entity.
Yes, and I also feel responsible because my friends are backing me financially.
Yeah,
I feel very responsible.
Yeah, and that's good. But I will also say that people know what they're getting into, and so it's good to feel that way. But everything in balance.
Yeah, well,
you know,
well, venture capital is not considered a guaranteed return by any means.
it's definitely not. I mean, whenever Deborah and I are investors in almost 50 VC funds.
Wait, how many?
50, a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, we're individual investors in 149 startups now, but we've been doing that a long time.
This is
for
incredible.
15 years, and 12 of those have become unicorns that we seed backed. It's pretty incredible. Yeah.
Well, I'm
It's
not
amazing.
surprised.
Yeah,
You
but
know
I
what to
mean,
look for.
you know, but I cannot tell you that I could have predicted the ones that would have become. I definitely couldn't have predicted. I thought that every one we invested in was one that could, in some universe,
Yeah, you have to
become
believe some of
unicorn.
that. Or you saw a glimmer of something in a founder.
For sure. Yeah.
Like I saw that in a couple of founders, and like it's like,
Yeah.
this guy's relentless. This gal's relentless.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of TED, one of the best TED Talks I've ever seen is Bill Gross, who he was responsible for backing hundreds of companies with Idealab. And he talks about what's the real data as he crunched it on whether or not the companies became successful. And he stacked ranked the factors of success, like tying, you know, all the factors to the outcome. And the number one factor actually wasn't team. The number one factor was timing of the business.
So there has been some studies that show that the VCs are successful by the vintage year they deploy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like, do you have deal flow? Like, are you amazing? Do you have MBA from Harvard? Like, it's just, oh, you were at the right time, right place,
Mm-hmm.
and you had capital and access.
Yeah.
So I've heard that before.
Yeah. Well, so let's cover what's the third company.
Yeah, third company. Let's talk about emerging markets. Let's talk
Yeah.
about India. So LearnTube. LearnTube helps professionals upskill.
Mm-hmm.
And they use generative AI. So let's say you want to learn marketing, or you want to learn data analysis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or some other skill that can be used. And especially now, people have to upskill really fast.
Mm-hmm.
The world's changing. So it creates a personalized curriculum for those professionals. And it gets also content that exists from YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
Google is their partner.
Right.
And then it creates personalized quizzes and tests, which results in certifications that are recognized by employers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a full cycle from learning to certification
So cool.
very fast without having to go to higher ed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like kind of like the future of learning,
Yeah.
right? Can AI be your teacher, tutor, not doing the work for you,
Mm-hmm.
but showing, and you can demonstrate you understand or have some mastery of those skills, and can it funnel you into a position rapidly?
Yeah.
And I think that's where things are going. As you know, in the news, we see that Gen Z is graduating with $40,000 to $50,000 to $60,000 of debt in US, and they were promised jobs, quote, promised jobs if you learn programming,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not getting jobs
Right.
because the first, and we heard this at TED AI from the CEO of Ryder. She said that the first two rungs of the ladder were knocked off of the job ladder,
Right.
which I think is probably correct in many cases today.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to come up with new ways to help people to continually learn.
Wow, that's so cool. I mean, that's I was literally just having this conversation 2 days ago in terms of those rungs being knocked off, really instigated by TED AI, in terms of what is going to replace that. And so this could be the solution.
It could be. However, CrewAI and autonomous agents and people who are in the same space as Crew,
Mm-hmm.
they're able to do the skills of a junior worker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's coming fast.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it's here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's really interesting. So, I mean, this moment, you definitely, I realized it too. I mean, literally, I realized it at the end of 2022, just to mark this moment in time. ChatGPT launched on November 30th,
Yes.
2022.
mhm.
Fast forward to March 2023, there was the AI moratorium call.
I remember that.
Pause.
I remember
Okay?
that.
I thought it was ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I went on many podcasts explaining why I thought it was ridiculous. I mean, the one way I described it is the arc of human history has always been technology to create easier lives, climb the Maslow hierarchy. It started with the discovery of fire, and we could cook food, and
Mhm.
ultimately we got to bigger brains and more
Yes,
IQ, and
that's
we
right.
could warm our homes.
Exactly that.
But it can always also be used for bad. We also could set people on fire, and et cetera.
Exactly.
And that also happened.
And then accelerating from fire to splitting atom is the metaphor, and now to AI.
Exactly.
But each of those examples of good to bad, those to me are the way that the humans have decided to use each of
Totally.
those tools and technologies.
It is always the case. It is always up to us. And that actually is the whole thesis for why I'm doing
This
what I'm doing
podcast.
now.
Mhm.
It's not just the podcast. I mean, the podcast is part one of a 4-part play. It's and I announced that before I even started the podcast, what the 4 parts are. But this is the next decade of my life, because what happens over the next 10 years, I think, are the most important 10 years in human history. Because, we've always been, the way exponentials work,
Yes.
of course, is they go up really, really slowly at first. And now we're in this
Now we're at vertical.
upward.
Now it's near vertical.
Right.
And I'm seeing it firsthand here.
Yeah.
So when I started tracking this industry in 2023, there was around 3,000 AI startups.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, now there's 41,000.
Wow.
And there's a database called there'sanaIforthat.com, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to the founder, and he said he can't even tell which one of these AI programs are being created by AI.
Wow. Yeah.
We're at that level now, right?
Yeah.
Because you can generate a website and copy and UX, and it can code now.
Yeah.
And now you can do e-commerce with them, right? Like you can just roll these things up very fast.
Yeah.
we're at that level,
Yeah.
and it almost all the AI charts that I see are starting to approach 45 degrees and sharper now.
Right.
And you saw those things that I showed on stage, right?
Yeah.
Or 10x in some cases.
Yeah.
Like where the things, you're right. The timing on this 10 years is really significant
It's
point in
amazing.
human history.
You know, I talked about in the opener, The Order of Time by Carlo Rovelli. Amazing, amazing book. So one of the themes in that book is that time is ultimately a measurement of interaction between things. And one of the ways I look at the time period we're in is that, to me, a week of tech progress right now feels like a year 10 years ago. Do you agree with that? Or is that too
I don't know.
accelerated?
I'm not sure. It's hard because I'm like in it.
You are in it,
But
you were also in it 10 years ago.
I was, yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of used to like how fast it's moving.
It's moving so fast.
I guess yes. I guess maybe a month equals a year in my perspective.
Right. Which
but-
is still incredible.
Which is still incredible. Like even at the hackathon. So there's been 300 hackathons in the SF Bay area in the last 3 years. And each hackathon has 100 to 200 builders,
Mhm.
which, by the way, that in itself is incredible.
Mhm.
And I remember the hackathons, I've judged 15 hackathons, which some people say is one of the highest in the industry. So I've seen this. And so 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, they were just doing GPT wrappers.
Mhm.
And now at the hackathons, they're using AI agents to control robots.
Mhm.
Like it went from, so just if you're looking at me, you can see like, so at first it was just pulling out, parts of your neurons of your brain and connecting to that. And now just in 2.5 years, they're controlling these in the embodiment of the physical space with AI.
Right.
Right. And so that is,
It's
it's
profound.
hard to fathom. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is profound, right? To think like that it would happen that fast. And then as we were walking here into the studio, I sent you that photo.
Mhm.
They're just right here out front. There was a Zoox, which is a autonomous
Yep.
van, and it was waiting for a woman pushing a stroller.
Mhm.
And I sent you that photo, Brett, and I
Yep.
said, wow, that is a moment. We're about to go talk about this.
It is.
A woman is crossing the street,
Mhm.
it's a metaphor, pushing a child, and
Right.
there's an autonomous thing just waiting for her to go by.
Right.
Like that is the moment like we are at this
Yep.
point.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing because I grew up with a black and white TV with a rabbit antenna,
Right.
right? And now this is just it's happened really fast.
Yeah. And it's you have been pretty clairvoyant, in my opinion, about the future. I can at least say that. I know that you're not going to necessarily agree with that because of your humility, but can I just ask you to play futurist for a second and
do it.
say, what does 10 years from now feel like?
That's really hard.
Because that's a long time,
That's
man.
really hard.
An exponential curve,
So our advisor is Reid Hoffman.
Mhm.
He's on the board of Microsoft, one of the first investors in OpenAI,
Mhm.
first investor, Facebook, Airbnb, early investor in PayPal Mafia, and created LinkedIn.
Yeah. He's amazing.
So his ability to forecast and put money down is truly clairvoyant.
Yes.
And he told us at dinner, and I'll never forget this, Brett. I'll never, ever forget this. He told us, the partners, he could only see 2 years. There's no way I can see 10.
Right. Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you some of the things I'm watching, at least.
Yeah.
The quantum computing milestone to look for is something called Q-Day, or quantum supremacy.
Okay.
And that's projected by all the giants in quantum computing, whether it's Google or IBM, AWS is in the game, et cetera, to happen in 2029 or 2030. Q-Day is the point where quantum gets stable enough where all cryptography in the entire world is broken. And it's going to be this funny thing. I was talking last night with Bong Sa, who I'm staying at his home. He was actually my very first board member at Core Metrics back when I was 26.
Wow, that's amazing.
Incredibly important mentor, and one of my best friends. And it's been so much fun to interact with him and his family, and his daughters came in town, not because of me, they were already coming in town, but just, to really spend time with him. And he's an immigrant success story. His parents moved from China. He was born here.
Amazing.
And he's become very successful. He was the founder and CEO of buydirect.com during the .com days. But he really helped me a ton. And I was talking to Bong about it, and I was like, you realize that Q-Day is going to be like the Y2K problem all over again, where everybody's going to then scramble to retrofit all their security into quantum cryptography to basically be immune to it. So it's kind of inevitable that that'll happen. That'll be a huge opportunity for cybersecurity all over the world, and all the consulting firms and everybody, or who knows if it's consulting firms or AI agents at that point. Accenture actually is really, really down market cap wise.
Yeah, we can comment on that in a sec, but yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's go there in a second. So I'm paying a lot of attention to that. I'm paying a lot of attention to brain-computer interface development. And that one is one where I struggle with it a lot, because the gateway drug for brain-computer interfaces, of course, has been quadriplegics, and the first ever Neuralink installation is in a quadriplegic, and it's amazing. Like, he's got a new lease on life.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing, right? It really is an act of love to give someone a brand new neat lease on life. And I love, the fact that health tech can get, and then, Elon Musk was talking about that blindness is going to be cured by it. I agree with that, because these are just input mechanisms, and it's all data coming in that then gets interpreted by our brain to ultimately produce, you sitting in front of me and all the things that we're looking at here. But that's going to be an interesting one, where I kind of struggle with, like, how far are we going to go with that, and what does it ultimately mean? But we could unpack that later.
Yeah. And then physical AI.
And then of course the number one thing is we're already approaching a cognitive supply that we can't even imagine through AI agents, and then eventually it gets physically embodied in robots.
Correct.
We're actually investors via a fund in Apptronic in Austin, which has created the Apollo robot. I'm good friends with Jeff. He's actually going to be on the podcast.
Nice.
He's CEO there, and he's a beautiful human being, and is really approaching this with great intentionality. But, like all things, here we are in this race of, like, who's going to be the first to get robots in the world. And, the U.S. is a good contender for that. But it's interesting at TED AI that Kai-Fu Lee was saying that China's way ahead on that. I don't really know what to believe on that. One thing he said is the robotics companies here in the U.S. aren't getting backed as much as they are in China.
Also, manufacturing is often going to be in Asia for this.
That's true.
That's tied.
But I actually have not seen that. I've seen that the robotics companies here in the U.S. are raising a tremendous amount of money.
This is true.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, so as a Silicon Valley VC, we are thinking about, like, that in the stack, but the software is currently dominated by the US, but dependent on Asia, China specifically for the hardware and chips in Taiwan. So there's this codependency and relationship that needs to continue in order for this to help all of humanity. And that's a tenuous topic.
Yeah. And so we're going to have an explosion in physical labor pretty quickly to go with the cognitive labor revolution through the embodiment in robots. So those are the four things I'm looking at. Just to recap, it's of course AI we're talking about primarily right now, robotics, quantum computing, which will accelerate everything, and then brain-computer interfaces.
Right, and then we also discussed longevity could increase, right?
Yes.
And then the topic of all of this, which will bowl up, will be resource reallocation.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a topic that will need to be addressed at the highest levels.
Yes. And I actually think, like, Pablos has it right in his book. Pablos Holman wrote this book called Deep Future. He's going to be on the podcast soon.
Awesome.
And I love him. He is for sure a futurist. I mean, he worked for Nathan Myhrvold at Intellectual Ventures, and now he's a venture capitalist as well with his fund, Deep Future. And, he said, look, the energy in his book should be the very, very base of the Maslow hierarchy, because everything starts with energy. Everything, flows from energy.
And that was a theme at TED AI as well.
Yeah. So let's unpack that. I mean, we talked about a lot there. Maybe we start with Accenture, because you said you had a
Yeah, so I did
perspective
a
on that.
post. I analyzed all these services companies in the enterprise space. So Forrester, Gartner, Wipro, Accenture, and there's some other BPO companies. They're all down 30 to 50%. It's significant.
Yeah.
And it's because of AI. And they were not able to, I mean, there's some irony to this, because many of them were selling digital transformation,
Yeah,
or telling
exactly.
executives, don't get disrupted by AI. And now Wall Street has been rather non-favorable to them. And
Right.
I'm not sure if they can recover. And it's quite significant.
Yeah.
So that's another impact.
That's where I started my career. Did you know that?
Where?
I worked for Accenture full-time in my junior and senior year at UT, because I helped a guy out setting up his bulletin board system when I was a kid. And you
Wow,
remembered me.
yes.
And so is karma, is like your Chris Yeh moment.
Yep.
And he called me and asked if I wanted a job, if I had kept up my programming skills. I was like, this is all I do. And so he gave me that job.
Nice.
And so I worked full-time my junior and senior year. And then I worked for Deloitte Consulting for 2.5 years. That was actually what got me my ticket into my exposure to MBAs. I had to get on my own merits, but I got into the Wharton School. I was the first in my family to ever go get an MBA. I didn't even know what an MBA was. And it was because of that exposure through Deloitte. So I actually started my career out before I became an entrepreneur. Once I got into Wharton, I wrote all my essays about being an entrepreneur, and I never looked back. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was 24.
Right, but that Deloitte, that was formative.
It was very formative.
Because that's how you're able to serve, like we just talked about,
Yep.
forward deployed engineers. You understood that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So I mean, that's an interesting thought, that it seems like they would just go all in on AI.
Well,
like why?
They may need to create software
Yeah.
and have embedded software that has recurring SaaS software.
Yeah.
Right? Let's back up. So we're seeing this transformation now
Yeah.
where VC firms, the larger ones, are looking like PE firms, right? And that's changing. So management consulting firms and system integrators might need to become software companies themselves, right? Because what we see right now is the software companies are becoming services companies.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I think a lot about this next 10 years, and the hardest part of the book that I'm writing, the book is also called Love Conquers Fear, and the subtitle is Humanity, AI, and the Age of Abundance.
I think it's great.
Thank you. And part 3 of the book is the most challenging. So the book's halfway written now, and part 3 is all about transformation. And so it's about how will humanity ultimately transform into this age of abundance for all. And, one of the things that I believe is that the margin expansion opportunity for the S&P 500 over the next 5 years is the best in history. But the most intelligent among the S&P 500 will not just look at this period as let's let a bunch of people go and use it for cost cutting. They'll use it for redeployment of new markets that they've always wanted to go into, but they didn't have the resources for, and new products that they've always wanted to build, but they didn't have the resources for. Because running companies as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that everybody I've ever met, no matter how much money they have in a company, is resource constrained. Everybody. They are constantly making trade-offs. You can think of many more product ideas, many more markets to go after than you have the money or time to go after. And what's happening with AI is that time's getting compressed and money's getting compressed at the same time. And so that creates opportunity for the people that think that way. But yeah, there's definitely going to be PE people, just like fire as many people as possible, increase margins.
We saw that with the Clarida CEO.
Yeah.
So yes.
How do you think about that? Yeah.
I think we can have a multiplier effect. And that was my scary message at TED AI. And at a minimum, every organization should 3x because your workers theoretically work 8 hours a day. Some probably work more. but now they can work, quote, 24 hours a day because the agent can step in when the human is away.
Right.
And our technical advisor, Parth, he has 7 agents running at all time in parallel. So he's 7xing himself in that way. He's also Reid Hoffman's technical advisor. You'll get to meet him soon, Brett, on one of our events. So he's experimenting at the edges, and he has ability to use as many resources as he wants because he's tied to the people who are leading this stuff, and so he's pushing it the maximum productivity of one person. It's kind of amazing to see.
Wow.
And then he informs Reid what's going on here.
Yeah.
And he's advising the roadmaps to the Anthropic and OpenAI. So he's incredible, and he's non-technical. He doesn't have a technical background. So he's just adopting these tools. So if he's 7xing himself, then it means every other employee can do a 3x. So I think that's the opportunity. Yeah, I agree with you. So the productivity and efficiency is just one metric, but looking for innovation is something that really the AI space hasn't fully uncovered yet. Like, to your point, a new market, but it also means that we can create personalized products for each person, personalized experiences for each customer. That is something that really hasn't been done at scale.
Right.
And that can unfold now.
Yeah.
We'll also see a premium, this is my theory, that we'll see a premium on humanity. So the account managers, the top tier customer care, the forward deployed engineers, the time with executives, or bringing people together and experiences become more valuable, which I see and I do and I lead here in San Francisco. So that actually becomes more important. Right. So I don't think everything just becomes about raw cost efficiency.
Yeah. Good. I mean, I agree with you. And what would you say to people listening to this or watching this in terms of what should they be doing today to level themselves up?
Well, experimenting with these no code tools, right? Replit, Cursor. If you're in enterprise space, using Crew Studio. We also back something called Composio, which is connects all your agents to your apps. And there's no code feature called Rube. So everybody should be trying those tools, and you should maximize LLMs. You should have a subscription to both GPT and Claude. So that's $20 to $20. It's definitely money well spent.
Money very well spent.
Very well spent. And so just to become smarter on any topics at all times. And so the AI first mentality is when you don't know something, then you quickly get that answer. Like you brought up a book today on our prep call, and I got the answer before we stepped into this the space. Like it was very easy for me to get that answers. So I have more context.
That was on the last question. By Isaac Asimov.
And that was a profound story. So so those are the key things. And I listen to podcasts. So I listen to the Abundance podcast, Peter Diamandis.
Very good podcast. I really like that.
Well, I feel a lot of similar tones with you.
A
lot of similar tones. And so I listen to that one on a frequent basis.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, that's a great shout out. And his book Abundance, which was written in, I think it was written in 2011. I wrote the longest book review of my life in 2012 at the beginning in January on the book Abundance, because I wanted to look back years later and say, how did it play out? And basically it's playing out.
It is awesome. Playing out.
Yeah. So, in terms of the other advice I would give people, one of the things that was so much fun is after episode 10 with Morgan Linton, where we're really diving into AI-powered engineering, he and I spent hours together jamming on Cursor, Warp, which is the AI-powered terminal, as well as Claude Code. And given my programming background, it was really easy for me to get re-leveled up, and it was so cool, like to actually see, all these agents work and be very hands-on. And we were using all that at Data.World, but I wasn't running engineering. I was the CEO. I was primarily selling, servicing, raising money, doing those types of things. And so it was a little bit rusty in terms of me being directly hands-on. But the other thing is that we covered in that episode is that, use these for a hobby. Like there's got to be something that you care about. It could be collecting comic books, could be anything, gardening. use these tools, like go on ChatGPT or Claude or any one of these tools, Gemini, and use it for that hobby. And oh my gosh, you will have boundless insight into, let's say it's gardening. I could go to ChatGPT today and I could say, I want a 5-week course complete with all the YouTube videos to really level me up from gardening. Here's the knowledge that I have today. Here's the type of plants that I have today. Here's where I live, et cetera. And boom.
And you take photos also of
and
what
you
you
take
have, and you can
photos.
have live video capability, and it's
Exactly.
guiding you exactly on how to correctly do it, and checking the water levels. Like it gets very specific now.
Yeah. Oh,
It's like you have an expert on your shoulder now.
it's unbelievable.
It's quite mind blowing.
Yeah, travel companion, it's incredible. Like, we're in Japan. You can take a photo of the most esoteric Zen Buddhist art or Shinto art in Japan. Those are their two religions, Buddhism and Shinto, the roots of the Japanese culture. And it'll give you incredible distillation. It really is. It forces you to think very differently, because it's the first time in human history where you can talk with all of our content, which is different than search. The episode I had with Byron Reese, he's talking about how Google would brag on the 31 million results that it would give you in a nanosecond.
That feels antiquated.
It's very antiquated, right? So getting back to this is an existential moment for Google in terms of going all in, and we'll see what happens with Demis Sisyphus. So how do you think about this from the standpoint of, I know that you are very much a humanist, and care a lot and have children. Like, how do you think about this for humanity? Like, are you mostly really positive in terms of where we're going?
It's great. Yes, I'm definitely positive on it. I think this can benefit humanity. We're going to have some significant uncertainties, and that will cause stress, and there will be chaos and likely disagreements and conflict. For example, I'm not clear on which career path to send my children or to help them see. I mean, they're going to choose their own path. Let's be really clear.
Exactly.
But I need to help show them the avenues, right?
Mhm.
And say these avenues might be closed off now, despite what the textbooks say.
Mhm.
And it's not clear. I think that right now, and my answer is changing every year. So you asked me to think about the future. So I think about, how do I guide my children?
Yeah.
That's literally like the best answer. And given my perch, I think the only thing I can help them to be now is to have these skills, is to be a founder or an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
which means to find a problem,
Mhm.
solve it,
Yeah.
add value, and benefit,
Right.
and to be a great community leader
Mhm.
and communicator,
Mhm.
which are innate skills for me. So I think I can pass them those skills.
Yeah.
And those are leadership skills. Those
Right.
are bringing people together. And I mentioned earlier, premium on humanity. Those are key skills.
Right.
And then finding a problem, being an entrepreneur, like
Mhm.
that is a flexible framework.
Right. Right.
Should be flexible.
Yeah.
And so I think at this time, that's all I can see.
Right. And how old are they today?
Preteen and then very young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 3 children.
I have 2 children, so they're 16 and 21, and the advice I'm giving them is study whatever the heck you want. And the reason why is that I have great confidence that as long as they're truly, truly passionate about it,
Engaged,
it'll
yeah.
work out.
Oh, gotcha.
Like if you're trying to study something that you really hate, you're just not interested in, hate is the wrong word. You're just like, it's not pulling you.
Yeah.
Then it's really probably not right
Well,
for you.
the
Nobody had to
Ikigai,
push me into computers. I
the
wanted
Ikigai
to.
principle, right? The Japanese one on finding your purpose in life. That
Exactly.
applies. Like, are you good at it? Does
Right.
the world need it?
Yeah.
Are you passionate about it?
Yeah.
And does somebody want to pay you for it? I think those are the 4 overlapping Venns, I think.
Yeah.
Right? So that still applies. But the last one is, will people pay you? Does the world need it?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the question is whether or not we'll have resource reallocation, right? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big concern people have around AI.
I mean, one of the things that I I talk to friends about this as well. I'll talk with you about this. Is and you are a very long time friend. You know, we've known each other for 20 years. So as we kind of like approach the frontier of abundance, I think we're going to be able to see it. I literally think we're going to be able to see the end of disease, nearly unlimited energy, food abundance, water abundance. I mean, once we solve energy, you know, with the sun, 18 seconds of the sun's rays, if we just had the material science breakthrough, would power the world's energy needs for well over a year. Just 18 seconds. It's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's a great book called Here Comes the Sun. I haven't started reading it yet, but it's been highly recommended to me. I know it's going to be amazing. And it has a lot of these types of statistics in it. But if you look at solar energy starts and the cost, you know, and the capacity, it's just skyrocketing. I mean, the cost is absolutely plummeting. It's skyrocketing. And we're still at the early innings of that. You know, we haven't, again, where's the alpha for material sciences? I bet Google's already working on that. I have to imagine they're already working on that. So, you know, we're talking about abundance that is hard to imagine because, you know, Homo sapiens, you know, we have been around for 250,000 to 300,000 years on an Earth that is 4.54 billion years old. And so, honestly, the majority of the time that we have evolved, we have really faced serious scarcity. It's been mostly scarcity. You know, the abundance that we have today in America is unthinkable to even comparing to America 100 years ago, 200 years ago. And then if you were living in Chad, you know, which I profile in my book, I really personify it with this Uber driver from Chad, where their GDP is $660 a person versus ours is $85,800 a person in the US. You know, they're dealing with a level of scarcity we can't imagine. And so I think that we're going to be able to see that future. But the hardest part for me is the transition period. And, you know, one of the things that Kai-Fu Lee said, and I was talking with Bong about this on a long hike yesterday morning, where he was asking me, what do you think is going to happen in that in-between period that helps awaken humanity? Is it going to be a positive catalyst, which is what the lattice is all about, right? It's a positive vision of how the awakening could happen collectively for humanity. Or is it going to be a negative catalyst where it's something so calamitous that humanity wakes up? Like, you know, Nagasaki, you know, Hiroshima.
My mind just went there. Yeah.
Right. Was so calamitous that the world was like, oh, wow, we better get a handle on nuclear weapons or it's all over.
Globally. Like
Globally.
Fix, solve it. But
Right.
then we all saw proliferation. But then we saw some harnessing of it as an energy source. So at the current time, we're in a good place for it.
Yeah.
So we've done that before.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, do you think it's probably a mix of things, right, between positive and negative. But Kai-Fu Lee really got me thinking because he's a very interesting guy to listen to, and it was really cool that he was on day one of TED AI. And unfortunately, he really predicted it would be a very negative catalyst. That sat with me a lot that evening. I don't know if you felt the same.
I actually did not hear his bit. I was backstage working on something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But
I apologize. I didn't.
that's okay.
No.
We're going to have extreme chaos and tension as we go through this transformation.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
To me. But in the end, we'll be in a better place.
Yeah. 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 I mean, if we could somehow kind of time machine pole vault into future abundance, it's going to be pretty amazing. But we've got to. It's, you know, there's a great book that was exposed to me on Necker Island by Richard Branson, actually. And it's called The Alchemist. And he was like, Brett, you have to read this book.
Alchemist or Alchemist?
The Alchemist.
Alchemist.
The Alchemist. And there's a line in there that, you know, sometimes when you're reading a book and you go over a line 50 times, does that happen to you?
Sometimes when I'm reading philosophy, yes.
Yeah, so there's a line in that book where it's always the darkest before the dawn. And I read that line
I know
50
that.
times. And I was like, why am I reading this line 50 times? And I think that is a bit of a metaphor for where we're at, that there is some darkness around us.
Oh, I don't think it's happened yet.
Yeah, but I mean, there is already darkness around us, right? There is major geopolitical tension.
Yes, and people are very scared and concerned about AI.
Right, right.
I'm very aware.
Yeah, yeah. But that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, if I in a nutshell,
I see
why
the
not doing this?
opportunity too, right?
Yeah.
Because if we can use AI to solve disease, if we can advance education and learning,
Yeah.
and we're betting on companies that can do this,
Yep.
both of those things, those are wonderful things.
They're wonderful things, and that's one of the things I really, really love about what you're doing is the way I would say that spiritually is you're bringing a lot of light to society through these things.
We are.
I'm doing the best I can on that.
Thank you. You're doing great. But we are under the vision of Reed, and Reed has written some books
Yeah.
on these topics and
Yes.
thinking about how AI can help the world. And so we are executing on his vision
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, and Reed often uses this line where people often say, AI, well, what could go wrong? So Reed is retorting, well, what can go right?
Yeah. What could go right? And I have to say that I have at least mentioned him a dozen or so times on this podcast already as one of the truly good guys. Like I mentioned him a lot. I mentioned Mustafa Suleiman a lot. I mentioned Demis Hassibis a lot. I mentioned Dr. Fifi Lee, Mir Murati. I mean, there's a lot of people bringing the light, which is great because it is going to require team humanity to ultimately, steer this ship through some pretty turbulent change.
My general take is can we get AI to do the laborious things that we don't want to do so we can increase the things that are more human? So let's back up. You mentioned society, humans have been on this planet for a few 100,000 years, right?
Homo sapiens.
Some Homo sapiens.
Hominids have actually been around for 4 million years, but Homo sapiens, 250,000 to 300,000 years.
And our current society is structured around the Industrial Revolution. The clock, the timing, when we go to school, when we go to the fact that we have rush hours. Products are mostly sold in CPG in December. Like all of this is around the Industrial Revolution. And we're mimicking or morphing into what machine behavior looks like. And that was because we were shifting from scarcity to industrial abundance. And now we're shifting into a new type of abundance that it's different. And we could unshackle from the Industrial Revolution in that way and reset society in a way we haven't thought about. People can work less if there's higher abundance, and we might see society return back to the way that was more folksy, was more villagey, right? More community, right? And I'm seeing this in SF.
Yeah.
The fact that the AI builders, Brett, want to be together there's over 300 events this month in person. The CEOs and the founders, yes, they're getting business done, but they could do that over Zoom or social networking.
Right.
They physically want to be together.
Yeah.
They physically want to go to hackathons, and these are the people who want to build abundance. Like that, there's something there, and I can see that. I can hear it. I can feel it.
Yeah, I love that. That is such a great point and a great example. And it's so cool that you're at the ground zero of building that.
I was there.
Llama Lounge.
Yeah, I saw it. And so I see it and I feel it, and I know the organizers of each of those groups, of those major communities, and we talk about this.
Yeah.
It's like there's something really unique, like because we are over optimistic, of course, in the future, and by no means is Silicon Valley only done right, but we see a new world where we will have more time together. It's a very different thought on that process. I just haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
This level of community, surprisingly out of AI.
Yeah. One of the funny pushbacks I get, I think it's funny at least, is when people ask me, well, what's that age of abundance for all going to be like? Are we just going to sit around and meditate? And I'm like, and it's funny because I am going to Bhutan at the end of this year with
amazing
with my wife and children. She's been once, and she's identical twin, and her twin sister, when they went together, said it was the most spiritual she ever felt in Bhutan, like just out of any country she's ever been to. So I'm really excited to go because obviously they have a very different model. They measure things on gross domestic happiness. It's very Buddhist culture.
Or contentness, actually. It's not even really happiness, right?
Yeah, contentness. And so the reason I laugh at that is I tell them in a very respectful way, I'm like, you're thinking so small. Like you're just thinking about Earth. Like we live in a completely infinite universe.
We live in a level 1 Earth society, right?
Yes.
And we haven't even harnessed our local energy source.
Totally.
I'm aware.
And so I'm like, the ambitious among us in the age of abundance for all, I mean, we could go do so much in the universe. And there's like so many problems to be solved, so many things to explore, so many things to discover. You know, I covered in the Mark Gober episode, he's one of my favorite authors, has written 7 books, that we only know, that was episode 2, we only know what 4% of the universe is even made of. We call that matter. We don't know what 96% of the universe is made of. We call it dark energy or dark matter. We have no idea what it is. We literally do not have a clue.
Yes, I hear it and understand that, but we also need to ensure that the current planet is healthy too. So I think we have to balance all of that in unison.
I completely agree. But they're actually, what they're challenging me on is that we do that and everything is abundant here. And then what do we do? And that's where I'm challenged back.
Yeah, we do. I agree with you. So we do have that explorer nature, right? That is part of.
Yeah.
I think you probably grew up on Star Trek TNG, like I
totally did. It is the Star Trek future, which we're talking about. And in the lattice, you know, we do, when we get to the age of abundance for all in the lattice, we do completely heal the Earth. It becomes like a jewel by the year 2050. You know, there's no ozone layer issue.
It's feasible.
Else. Yeah, it's totally feasible
if we all want to do it.
Exactly, and we have free will. And so I'm curious, like, you know, the building of community here, and I completely agree, there's something incredibly magical when we get together as humans. I mean, I had a transformative trip this summer in August in the Grand Canyon. You know, no cell phones, totally offline, no energy, you know, there was no electricity. And what happened with the group of 26 people I went with is we really had an incredible bonding experience over that 8 days. You know, we got back to being most human, you know, what makes us most human, like presence.
And you're literally dependent on each other to survive.
We are, yeah. And it was just beautiful. It was like magical. If you've never done that trip, I cannot recommend it.
I will do that trip sometime.
I hopefully we'll do it together.
Okay.
Like, my friend goes every year, and I'll advocate to invite you.
It's like a 2-week thing, right?
Next time. It's 8 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not it, but oh my gosh, it's so amazing. I'd love to do that with you. He uses Grand Canyon Expeditions Company. It's just gcex.com. If anybody wants to look it up, it's not that expensive either. It's much less than a backroads trip, and it's right here in America. But it's just waiting to explore, and only 100,000 people can go in per year. That's it. They limit it, you know, from permitting perspective because they really want it to remain a jewel. But you know, thinking back to the TED AI event,
yes,
one thing that was really unsettling for me. And I was sitting next to David Judson, who's my intellectual thought partner and one of my best friends. And it was during the panel where they were discussing the philosophy of AI. And Stephen Levy, who's the founding editor of Wired magazine, was moderating this. And I felt pretty unsettled by that panel because I didn't hear kind of the humanitarian perspective. It sounded like a bunch of people just talking about the fact in their minds that, well, these are either already sentient, meaning AI is either already sentient, or it's just obvious that it's going to be sentient and it's going to have the same level of consciousness that we do. And I'm curious how you think about that, and also just how you think about that in this region.
Yes. So there's different schools of thought, and you know which camp I'm part of. And so our general take is that it's not a AGI. It's just mimicking human behavior,
Yes.
right? Because it's just completing and transforming and anticipating the sentences. And so the current large language models will not reach AGI, nor will it have sentience. But there will be future models that will be emerging, and we're actually going to be investing in it. Therefore, you will as well. So, but I can't talk about it. But that's coming, and it's a new type of model. So
not a large language model, but something different. Yep. Cool.
Yeah, there's always going to be future models, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So just assume there's always going
And
to
that was a big thread actually at TED AI too, is like, what's the next step for the LLM?
Right.
Yeah.
Because LLMs have significant limitations.
They do.
Yeah. And so that is our take right now.
So I mean, how do you think about that yourself? Do you think we'll be able to create machines that are as conscious as you and I are right now?
So I think it doesn't matter if they are conscious or not, because many people will believe they are, because they will mimic. So it just doesn't matter.
Right.
Because right now, so therapists are losing business because people are turning to AI for therapy. But also people who could not afford or have access to therapists now have access, right? So this abundance is starting to happen.
Right.
So the fact that they're, for the most deepest, darkest, personal trauma or goals and aspirations and dreams, that you would turn to an AI that is, today in 2023, we're just 3 years into this, like that's amazing. So it just doesn't matter if it's sentient or not.
Right.
I mean, at least for the next few years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's a really good point. And it's, Mustafa Suleyman is writing about this a lot right now as the head of everything AI at Microsoft. And I forgot what he calls it, but it's basically like fake consciousness. It's
Socratic parrots also.
Yeah. But there's a word he uses in his LinkedIn post about it's feigning consciousness. And it's clear he's worried about it because he's writing about it a lot. And it's interesting because I was at the main TED event 2 years ago where he gave a TED talk on AI, describing what AI was to his nephew. And he basically described it as a new type of digital species. And we also heard that at TED AI. There were people talking about it in that type of way. And the reason I think this is an important question is, in the episode I did with Anil, episode 11, he educated me on something I did not know. He said there are already 9 organizations which are trying to give AI rights.
Yeah, I had not heard that before either. Yeah, and there was also at a point of time a church of AI. I'm not sure if it was in jest or parody or serious, right? But we've heard that type of topic before, even in Nick Bostrom's book, Superintelligence, where like if it is, whenever humans don't understand something, they apply metaphysical powers to a mythology, right? Even the sun. Like it's been every culture has put some godlike powers on the sun. Early primitive cultures, excuse me. So does that, do we do that for AI? And there's people that will do that.
Right. This is what the last question is all about with Isaac Asimov.
I won't spoil it, but I did get spoiled from OpenAI. It gave me the punchline.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I highly recommend people read it. It's short, and it is very campy if you get it on Audible. It's kind of a fun throwback machine for something that's so futuristic in terms of its concept. The fact that it's got this very campy sound that they have that went with it.
I can imagine.
1980 synthesizer.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
One of the things I want to talk about is your personal health journey, if you don't.
Great.
Because I find it very inspiring.
Thanks.
And Ethan Holland, he was on episode 4. He's a mega fan of you, and I'm a mega fan of both of you guys.
Oh man, Ethan's great.
He's so great, and he's had this AI newsletter ever since the launch of ChatGPT. He's chronicled over 36,000 news events. I mean, Ethan Holland is someone where when he decides to do something, he is going to do it all in.
Yeah, and I worked with him when he was an executive at a retail company, and he was my customer and client. So yeah, we have had a great time, and now we're buddies.
Yeah. So, you know, you really transformed your health. Like
I did.
I'm really impressed what you did,
Thanks.
but you should tell people.
So let's talk about, this podcast is also philosophy.
It is.
So
And it's about us conquering our own fears.
For
It's
sure.
love conquering our own fears.
so I read a lot about I read the Stoics a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And a big part of that is, having mastery over yourself and discipline, and I definitely like want to be good at that. There was a point in my life where I was very undisciplined and selfish and didn't take care of myself or sometimes people around me. And so as a grown up now, kind of, yeah, I wanted to do that. So when I was running companies, Altimeter Group, like I got and was traveling a lot, and I got fat and couldn't even run a mile, and it was bad. So when I hit 40, I decided to change all that. And so I cleaned up, and I don't eat red meat, or I'm a pescatarian now, so that's part of that. Typically, red meat is served with fried food. That's very common. So if you just shift to pescatarian, it's usually served with steamed vegetables. That's immediate change, just simple changes like that, plus the benefits to society. And then I've been doing functional fitness, aka CrossFit, and for 9 years, and typically going to the gym or the box 5 times a week, often at 5 a.m. And so I try to fail before the dawn comes up. I want to push myself to failure until I something like I can go to that limit. And yeah, and I've been doing that, and I weight lift, and I haven't had alcohol for 7 years. And I used to have, alcohol cravings and addictions. So I had to just get over that as well. So a lot of changes.
Oh, so it actually was an issue. Like it was not just a minor thing, the alcohol.
Yeah. So in order to feel anything, then you'd have to drink more. I would have to drink more and then drink more. And then so I said, this is ridiculous. It's bad for my health, bad for the relationships around me. I'm not responsible, not sleeping well. It's like not great. So yeah, I can openly say that, yes, I was an alcoholic. Well, I technically still am, right? But now I just don't drink, right? So just having control and mastery of self.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So 7 years, no alcohol.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah.
So certainly a lush for a period of time. So yeah, I made a real big change, and I just want to be strong and fit and flexible and have the ability to endure.
Yeah. And I'm sure all your biomarkers have really turned around at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was pre-hypertension. I fixed it. I had lower back pain. I fixed it.
Yeah.
Like,
what would you suggest for people going on that journey? Like, what's your favorite Stoic books? Is it Ryan Holiday's books?
Yeah, I've read his. I mean, but he's a compilation of Seneca, right? So that's part of it. But it's just for me, I'm a community person. CrossFit works for me because I have friends. I feel so lucky, Brett, that I get to go in 5 a.m. to the class with my friends, men and women, and we like cheer each other on, talk shit too, and like who gets to go to a social club at 5 a.m.? That's kind of insane. I get to start my day that way. I'm born this way. I'm drilled this way. Like I naturally wake up to be productive. It's just who I am. So you go when you're supposed to go, like, whenever you want to work out. But the fact that I found my tribe, that's critical.
Oh, it's so cool.
So that's a key thing. And it's not for everybody. Some people need to do fitness solo, but a minimum 3 times a week, an hour, is maintenance for an adult, right? Is for fitness, and not just walking. It's more. Walking is not enough. You have to elevated heart rate and also doing strength as well. So yeah, I've gone through. Hopefully, you can hear like I'm dialed in on that.
Oh yeah, no, I know. Well, I mean, you look totally different. I mean, you look like you're
Thanks.
in great shape. Your skin's different. I mean, you just
Thank
look
you.
better.
I feel absolutely great, and I'll be 50 soon.
Yeah. Welcome to the club. I'm 53.
You look great too, and I feel strong. I'm benching 225 times 10 reps.
That's awesome.
Which is NFL level.
Yeah.
I'm almost 50. No drugs, by the way. It's like nothing. It's just all natural.
Yeah, you're not taking testosterone.
Nothing. Just clean.
That actually is. I find that I find that a little bit sad for what it's worth. Like, if you go to any low T clinic, they will tell you need testosterone, and you really need to understand what you're getting into with that, because there's lots of bad side effects. I don't do any.
I don't have any comments. I haven't gone that route. I'm
Yeah.
trying to stay as natural as long as possible.
Yeah.
But I do have meds for some biological things that I do need to take. But
Well, yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
if it's different if you.
I'm trying to stay as no
Yeah.
creatine. I'm just literally just as natural as I can be right
That's
now.
awesome. Yeah.
But coffee,
Yeah.
lots of coffee.
Well, I believe it or not, I didn't do caffeine for a decade, and I
wow.
went back to it about 2 years ago, but I don't do it after 10 a.m. And
That's also like after lunch. That's no,
Yeah.
or it messes my sleep.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely been a long time on a long time health journey. I've been vegetarian now for a bit over 15 years.
You are? Wow,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, a bit over 15 years, and my biomarkers at age 53 are better than they were when I was 40. And I have a great workout routine that I documented on lucky7.io on my blog, where I do it pretty much every day. I work out 5 to 6 days a week. I built up to 24-minute a day plank, believe it or not.
I remember you saying that. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So now I don't do 24 minutes a day because there is a diminishing returns. Your workouts take a lot longer but there is no end. You could just keep going. But I now do 12 to 14 minutes a day, and I'm very dedicated with my workouts. I feel way better. There's lots of stretching involved, like especially with sitting, in terms of doing, work that primarily is on the computer. All the stretching exercises, all that.
So your health span and lifespan both increase by
I just feel amazing.
And I think this is also part of the age of abundance when technology might be able to afford us more time to do these things, right? And I think that's important.
Yeah.
And especially specifically for society, 2/3 of Americans are overweight, 1/3 are obese.
Yeah.
The fact that the military has to drop the physical standards to let people in, it's just,
Yeah.
we are in such a sad state. And so can we use technology to help us get more time and motivation and to do
Yep.
these things? I see that as exciting.
Yeah. I didn't drop alcohol until November of last year.
Great. Awesome.
But I do feel way better not having alcohol. And it's funny that societally, somehow we've normalized that as a drug that you should use.
Is it normalized in Austin? Because I know there's been no alcohol.
Oh, Austin's a very high alcohol city.
Right.
Very, very high. I mean, it's like when you're born in Austin, you're almost born with a margarita.
Shiners.
And- well, it's usually a margarita.
Okay.
But yes, a Shiner would be another example.
Here at numerous events in SF, there's no alcohol.
Yeah.
That's common now.
One of the things that I've noticed at our home when I host dinners now, I host a dinner on can AI become conscious? And at the dinner, I offered people either like this wine. I've got tons of wine because I collected wine for a while. I don't drink it anymore. And so I offered people these amazing bottles of wine, or they could have a cocktail that I had prepared, which was using Little Saints, which is kind of like a little bit of an upper. It's basically just a natural mushroom called lion's mane. And it's a fun cocktail drink because you can make it was made into a paloma, and it actually stimulates like conversation too. And 90% of the people there chose the non-alcoholic drink. I said, look, no judgment. You get whatever one you want.
That's happening here. And now the non-alcoholic drinks, mocktails, cost more because the demand shifted.
Yeah.
That's
fun.
literally happened.
Yeah. Alcohol is actually really plummeting
Correct.
in sales, especially with the younger generation, which is really interesting. So I think that's really, really great. So Jeremiah, we should probably wrap this up.
Okay.
I really love you. And
Thank you. I love you too, brother.
I'm just so impressed with your personal transformation. I know you're
Thank you.
phenomenal, family guy. I see you light up anytime, talking about your kids. You're building community here in San Francisco, which is so beautiful, like really bringing people together during the most important technological transformation in human history. I know you believe in the age of abundance for all, and I know you're
Yep.
putting the light out there and what you're doing. And honestly, I can't think of a better steward for that personally than Reid Hoffman. I mean, I really encourage people to follow him and you on
Thank you.
LinkedIn because you guys both put
And
great
Chris,
stuff out. And Chris,
who
yeah,
brought us
Chris,
together.
yep, who brought you guys together. Um, and yeah, I'm just super thankful for the friendship, and I'm super thankful that you included us in the fun. So
Thank
thanks so
you.
much.
It's been great. And we're not done on this journey.
I know
We have a long way to go, and
we're young
the
men.
world's going to change so much. And thank you for doing this project. You're chronicling a very important period of human history.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, I'm
Important
doing this.
human evolution with technology too. Like, this is a very important time.
It's a very important time. These are the big questions, right? These are the biggest questions we've always been wondering about since the beginning of humanity. Like, what is this reality we're in? What's the purpose for everything?
Why
Like,
am I
where are we going?
and,
Why are we here?
and or what is humanity? What is human?
Yeah, yeah,
When we're building
yeah,
something that looks human,
yeah,
acts human,
yeah,
we're building it.
yeah,
This is a profound time.
yeah. Well, I appreciate
Thank
you, brother.
you.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Just incredible lineup coming up. This is the end of my week in San Francisco. And the next episodes, you'll see I'm back in Austin for a while. And it is just an incredible lineup. I mean, literally, who showed up just a day ago saying that they're extending their trip and their flight to basically come on the podcast. I'm recording that in a couple of days from now. And they're one of the most amazing spiritual teachers that I know. So that's going to be very, very fun to share with you. And there are so many amazing entrepreneurs, investors, scientists, spiritual teachers, philosophers coming up. I am fully booked for the year for the podcast schedule. And by the end of this year, there's going to be around 28 to 29 episodes live. And I'm having a blast. I hope you're having a blast. I love all the feedback. Keep it coming and share this with a friend if you feel so moved. I'm not doing this for any financial impact. There's no advertising. I'm just self-funding this. I'm only doing it in person so that it's high quality because I really want it to have an impact, because this is a love letter to humanity and for abundance for all of us. And so please help out in that way. And thanks a lot for tuning in to another episode of Love Conquers Fear. Bye-bye.